She sat among her friends, laughter echoing around the room as if joy was stitched into every sound. Her smile glowed, wide and effortless, the kind that convinced everyone she was perfectly fine. To the world, she looked like a girl who had it all together, the one who always carried light into every space she entered. But what no one could see was the heaviness in her chest, the way her heart quietly ached beneath the mask of happiness she wore so well. She mastered the art of pretending, of hiding her pain behind sparkling eyes and gentle nods. Each laugh that slipped from her lips felt like a lie she had told too many times, a performance she could no longer step away from. Her friends believed her, they always did. They thought she was strong, that nothing could break her, and she allowed them to believe it, because admitting the truth felt scarier than silence. Inside, however, she was collapsing. Every smile cost her more strength, every word drained her, but she pushed through as though her world wasn't quietly falling apart. She sat there, pretending to belong in their happiness, while a storm raged within her soul. No one noticed the flicker in her eyes when the laughter grew too loud, or the way she clutched her hands under the table, holding herself together because no one else would. In that moment, she realized how invisible pain can be, how easy it is to hide suffering behind the curve of a smile. To them, she was joy itself, but inside, she was breaking piece by piece, silently wishing someone would see past her mask and ask the question she was desperate to answer: "Are you really okay?" When she entered her room, the noise of the outside world faded, and the smile that had stayed glued to her face all day disappeared instantly. The door closed behind her with a soft click, and suddenly the silence felt heavier than any words she could bear. She sat on the edge of her bed, her body slumping as though the weight of her own emotions was pressing her down. Her laughter from earlier seemed like a distant echo, something that belonged to a different person, not to the broken soul staring at the floor in front of her. Her eyes burned as tears fought their way out, and this time, she didn't stop them. No audience, no judgment, just her and her hidden pain. The smile had been a shield, but here in the stillness, it crumbled. She buried her face in her hands, her chest shaking with quiet sobs, afraid that even the walls might listen to her breaking. Every tear carried the words she never spoke, the struggles she never shared. She had trained herself to hide it so well in front of others, to make sure no one ever suspected the darkness she carried. But here, away from the world, she let it all spill out, as if her room was the only place strong enough to hold her secrets. She whispered to herself, barely audible, "I can't keep doing this," though no one was there to hear. Her smile during the day was her disguise, her way of protecting everyone else from the chaos inside her. But alone at night, when no one was watching, she faced the truth she couldn't escape: she was fighting a war no one knew about, a war she wasn't sure she could win. Memories played in her mind like broken film reels, flashing without warning, dragging her back into moments she wished she could erase. She saw herself standing in the middle of a heated argument at home, voices raised, words sharp enough to cut deeper than any blade. She remembered the way she stayed silent, afraid that speaking would only make things worse, so she let the pain sink quietly into her chest. Then another image flickered, her phone lighting up with hope, only to go dark again when the person she cared about left her message unread, as if she didn't matter enough for a reply. The sting of being invisible replayed over and over, and with every reminder, her heart seemed to crack a little more. She thought about the promises that were made to her, beautiful words once spoken with warmth, now nothing but empty echoes. Each flashback carried the weight of disappointment, of loneliness, of feeling too much yet being told she was too sensitive. She pressed her hands against her ears as if that could silence the noise of the past, but the memories were louder than her cries. They told her stories of abandonment, of not being enough, of being easily forgotten. Her breaths grew shallow, her chest tightening as tears blurred her vision, but she let the memories keep coming because resisting them hurt even more. These moments, invisible to the outside world, shaped the cracks inside her soul. To others, her life looked normal, even happy. No one saw the reel of pain replaying behind her smile, no one knew the cost of her silence. In those flashbacks, she realized how much she had lost: love, trust, and the belief that she deserved to be seen. And yet, she carried it all alone. She stood before the mirror, her reflection staring back at her with tired eyes that no longer held the light they once carried. The room was silent, yet her thoughts screamed so loudly she felt suffocated. She traced the outline of her own face with trembling fingers, as if searching for the girl she used to be, the one who smiled without forcing it, the one who believed she was enough. But all she could see now was someone broken, someone who had mastered the art of pretending. Her lips quivered as she whispered the question that haunted her every night: am I enough? The words hung in the air, fragile and heavy, as though the mirror itself was too ashamed to answer. Her chest ached with the weight of unspoken fears, and her eyes brimmed with tears she tried to blink away. For so long, she had been holding herself together, stitching her wounds with silence, covering her scars with smiles. But in that moment, the facade cracked. She pressed her palms against the cold glass, her forehead leaning close until her breath fogged the reflection. The truth spilled out in a whisper, trembling and raw: I'm tired. Tired of pretending, tired of carrying the burden of pain no one else could see, tired of being strong when all she wanted was to collapse into someone's arms and finally be understood. The mirror showed her a girl falling apart, but the world outside still expected perfection. She wanted to scream, to let the storm inside her burst out, but instead, she swallowed the cry and wiped her tears, because that's what she always did: hide the breaking, or the smile, and step back into the world as if nothing was wrong. But deep down, she knew she couldn't keep doing this forever. She sat curled up on the floor, her face buried in her knees, her body trembling from the weight of emotions she had carried alone for far too long. She thought no one would ever notice, that her pain was destined to remain unseen, hidden beneath practiced smiles and empty laughter. But then, there was a soft knock at the door, followed by a gentle voice: "Hey, are you okay?" The words seemed so simple, yet they pierced through the walls she had built around her heart. For a moment, she froze, unsure if she could let anyone see the storm inside her. But when she finally lifted her head, she saw eyes filled not with pity, but with genuine concern. A hand reached out, hesitant but steady, and when it rested on her shoulder, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: safety. Her tears spilled freely, and this time she didn't try to stop them. She let herself cry, not in silence, not in hiding, but in the presence of someone who cared enough to stay. She realized how healing it felt to be seen, to be heard, even without needing to explain everything. That one small question, that single moment of kindness, became a spark of hope in her darkness. She whispered between sobs, "I don't know if I'm okay," and instead of judgment, she was met with a soft, reassuring reply: "You don't have to be. I'm here." For the first time in what felt like forever, she allowed herself to believe that maybe she wasn't as alone as she thought. Sometimes healing doesn't begin with grand gestures, it begins with someone noticing the pain behind a smile and caring enough to stay when it matters most. And in that simple act, her heart found its first echo of healing.